Just talk about, is this as good a stretch as you've seen, winning four in a row that your team has played in however long?
This year, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, obviously.
For sure
And what's been the key, do you think, to the four straight wins?
I think there's a few things. Like I talked about before, when we were on the road to Nevada and we lost those two games there was a real feeling of disappointment amongst the team, and I think that they had been working really hard those weeks prior to that game, and then to lose those two games and to lose four in a row early on, it's a point where you have to self-check and say, am I really doing everything I can do? And the good kids and the good teams do that. And I think our kids were very in tune with, what do I need to do? What can I do? Why aren't we doing a better job? And why aren't we winning? And, both of the games in Nevada I thought could have gone either way. Just at the end we were down a couple and had to foul, and so, it ends up extending the game a bit. So coming back, I was just really glad to get that VCU win, because it got that monkey off of our back a bit, and then and then it just started from there. Indiana, Miami of Ohio, and Tennessee State, and one of the things that I would say has contributed to that too is that we're getting better and better at some things that we do, and defensively as well as offensively. And each of the schools that we've played, each of the teams that we've played, have been they're not similar teams, but in some respects, things that we've been working on to get better at defensively, all the teams present those same opportunities to defend that way. So, as I talked about, we had been switching 1 to 5 ball screens, everybody switching ball screens, and that has been, we haven't run into a team up to this point that we didn't feel like we could do that with. And so we've been through a stretch where we're able to get better and better at that, and I'm saying we need to face a team that has a really significant low block player, so we can figure out what we're going to do with that. So I think partly what's contributed is that the similarities in some respects of how the teams play, being guard oriented rather than post oriented teams, has also contributed to that.
Got off to a slow start against Tennessee State, but you were eventually able to work yourself back in the game. How were you able to overcome a deficit early and get yourself back into it?
Well, they scored on their first 6 possessions. They hit 5 shots in a row in their 6th possession, and wide open or layup shots. I mean, our defense, systematically broke down in each of those possessions. On possession number 6, we got a stop. They missed the shot, and then we didn't box out, and they got the rebound and put it back in. So 6 in a row, and we were able to hit a free throw and score 1 bucket. And so, we took a couple timeouts during that time and tried to settle them back in. We weren't executing offensively. We were trying to make that $1 million pass, after the first entry pass, and we need to break down the defenses. That's part of what makes our offense work, is to get ball reversal and break down the defense. And then defensively, we needed to make a commitment and have some personal responsibility for the players that we were playing. And I think that we started to go back to playing fundamentally. I also think a contribution to our slow start, and I'll take full responsibility for this, is that before the games in the locker room, I normally tell them a motivational story or talk about I read them a motivational story, and this game, the conversation circled around the tragedy in Connecticut, and it was timely, but because it needed to be talked about, and I think it needed to be addressed with the girls, maybe not prior to the game, but we all had trouble with it, and I think that we came out of the locker room in a bit of mourning, and I don't think I think it took us a little bit of time to step out of that and to be inspired. The story was meant to inspire, but it's a tough story, and it was a difficult time, and I think we've got players that have some young brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews, and so it struck a chord, and I think we came out pretty sluggish because of the conversation we had in the locker room.
Tonight, Ole Miss played them last year in their tournament down there. What do you either remember or have seen about them that you expect to face tonight?
Well, I'll tell you, their point guard, McFarland, is probably the quickest player that our team has faced, in the 10 years that I've been here. She was really quick last year, and we had a really hard time containing her. If you look at our statistics from last year, she had 14 points, but she also had 10 assists. And what happens is that you focus so hard on keeping her out of the paint. And she's little, she's 5'4", but she drives the ball so hard to the basket, and until someone stops her, she's going to take it. And sometimes it takes a collective effort, and she sees that and delivers the ball. And so that is going to be a major focus for us, is to try to slow this team down and to stop this kid from being able to get so deep into our defense. We talk about building a wall and not allowing that penetration. They also run a dribble drive offense where everyone, they drive and pitch and drive and pitch and drive and pitch and wait for you to break down or the help not to be there. And then the other outcome of that is on the pitch, they get some open looks because everybody's trying to sink and stop the drive. So it is a different matchup look for us, different type of a game. But this is, and we had one day to prepare for it. So it's something that we discussed all day yesterday, showed them on film, and really practiced hard against both man and zone, looking at how can we stop this and get the best opportunity and the best box out opportunities too, because they're a very aggressive team. They had a really big inside kid last year that is gone now, graduated, and so that game is very different interior wise for them. They have really aggressive post players, but their top two scorers are their point guard and two guards. So
they have some size, but I mean, size doesn't really seem to bother your team a whole lot, whether you have to defend or play against it. It seems that at least to this point, you've been able to handle girls who have some size.
I don't know what to say about that, because I think that most of the teams that we've played against have been guard oriented, even with big kids. I mean, for example, Indiana, they tried. I know their coach was imploring them to get the ball inside because of the mismatch, and we switched the 6'4" kid. We had Kirsten Green down on the 6'4" kid, and she's a finesse player rather than a banger, and so she didn't want to, we leaned on her a little bit, and she'd pop back out. So we're going to run into a team that wants us to switch that ball screen and wants to get that ball inside. And we'll have other strategies to defend against those teams. So I wouldn't say that size doesn't hurt us. I just don't think we've been really tested when it comes to a significant inside player, and that's the strategy of their team is to get that ball inside.
Honesty has had a good couple of games so far. Is she becoming more consistent? I know earlier in the year she was struggling with her shot. Is her shot coming back to her now?
I think what we see with Honesty is that she goes through some streakiness, and she has had a couple of nice games where she's been able to knock down some shots, and she's getting the confidence back. And she's a kid who sees the clock ticking and really, really wants this to be a great, end of her career. And so she presses a little bit, to try to get back on track. And, I would say, she didn't shoot exceptionally well yesterday in practice. So, we'll see. I need her to have some consistency in the games. We'll see if she can bounce back today and shoot the ball well in today's game. She's really focused on that, being able to hit that outside shot. And when you have somebody like Shea on your team who can create those opportunities and draws so much attention, when they're going to find themselves spotted up with room to shoot, and they need to be able to knock that down.
Imani how do you think is she able to Well, let me ask this: how do you think she's doing so far this season? Are you pleased? Are you still expecting more from her? I know that she's second on the team in rebounding. However, would you like to see her maybe score some more than than that? Or
I think that Imani would like to score more, and I think that we could use more scoring from Imani. But having said that, Imani, when she first got here, she had come being a City League Player of the Year 2 times, and averaging 20 plus points a game. When she first got here, when she had the ball in her hands, she wanted to score it every time. And so what I've seen this year is a level of maturity, understanding that I don't have to be everything to this team right now, but eventually I'm going to take on a bigger and bigger role. I need to be progressing towards that. Right. And I think that she needs to be working towards, scoring opportunities and converting those scoring opportunities, and getting the free throw line and knocking down some free throws for us. But I think that she's shown us, about 7 points and about 7 or 8 rebounds. Yeah. And that, as long as she can, and she's been very consistent with that, as long as she can remain consistent with that, I don't see any reason why she wouldn't continue to improve on that throughout the season. So, I think she's doing all right. I don't think that we have to have her, scoring 15 points a game or what have you. But I think that she's capable of a bigger role.
Yeah, because I get the feeling that since Shea gets so many points and that, I don't want to say she defers, but she knows that her front court mate is gonna takes a lot of shots and demands a lot of attention from opposing teams.
Yeah, and I think Imani and Shea are very good friends off the court as well, and I think Shea was a role player for us, so to speak. I mean, as a freshman, when I say role player, she was a starter. As a freshman and as a sophomore, who felt that her role was, I just need to get some rebounds and keep this and play some great defense and that kind of thing. And she grew into this, this role that she's in now. And I think Imani is very aware of that. I think Imani knows that as things, as graduation comes and we continue to, players continue to leave the program and everybody continues to move up, that she's moving towards a very significant scoring role for us, and that she needs to have that mindset now, but maybe she doesn't have to press so hard at this moment to get that done.
Just a couple more games. We've got 4 more before the league. Look at this as trying to get yourself ready for league play in January.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we are, all our kids, they're charting all the other teams in the league and seeing what's going on around us. That's one thing about this group, is they are so into checking on our opponents and seeing what games are going on and who's beating whom. And yesterday I was in Scout and I said, last year we lost to Ole Miss down there by 11, and Corey Coleman said 9. And I was like, oh, okay, and she told me the score. And it's just interesting how, just how into it they are, and it's, very much appreciated from a coaching standpoint that they're so focused. And now that finals are over and we're in a break period now, I just see them really diving into what's next. And it was a tough turnaround flying back here, getting ready. And they slept in. We didn't change practice. We kept it as a later practice yesterday. But they had to. I could tell they were having to motivate themselves to, okay, got another big game, and then have a day off, because we have some tired people, because we've got some. Obviously, we have kids that play a lot of minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.